Oi, oi! Yes, my name is DJLongers. DJLongers live and direct in the place to be. Now, welcome everybody. This is AAA Access All Areas, and I want to welcome you to a special takeover. I had to play some superhero music for this one. Welcome to the special takeover. We've been taken over by a record label called 2TE, Two-Tone Entertainment. And we're going to start by playing some of the tunes that they've been involved in over the past how many years. So like I said, we've got a special one today. Welcome to Access All Areas.
Tell us on, boy, back off. Nobody moving for no. Turn up the dirty bass, them a make up them face. Tell them pick up the bass, and we are run the place. Sound boy a chase, me tell them give me space. Them in a rat race, but how we are run the place. Run the place.
I know you remember this tune. I know you remember this tune. Two-Tone Entertainment, this is the takeover. AAASeminars.
Tell them call the fire brigade because we smell some speaker burning. Speaker burning. Ring the alarm sound, boy, you want your ice cream. Jump and sound, jump and sound. Tell them call the fire brigade because we smell some speaker burning. Speaker burning. Ring the alarm sound, boy, you want your ice cream. Jump and sound, jump and sound.
Like I said, we're going through 2TE's catalog. Let's do this. Shouts out to all those who remember certain songs from back in the day. Like I said, we're time traveling. All the songs that Two-Tone Entertainment have been a part of over how many years, we're playing them for you today. They're going to tell you all about their journey, all about their future. You're going to find out everything today. Welcome.
Born as a soldier, born in the streets, born as a rude boy, born as a rude
DJLongers.
born in the ghetto, you have to fight for yourself. Born in the streets, you have to fend for your health. Rubble on the rocks, trouble on the cops. You have to fight for your freedom and come out of the ghetto, cause the trouble not stop. Down the soul, life retro. Only if a gunshot I let go. Inna the ghetto, it a echo. Police not afraid to come arrest you. About the trouble and the cops. Rise up from out the rubble and the rock.
Sigma featuring the one and only Rude Boy in the building. Let's do this.
What this Rude Boy?
Shouts out to all those who remember Cash-tastic.
I got sweat all on my face, now I'm on the way. Tomorrow I won't remember the numbers that I saved. I wanna see all the shy girls getting brave. Everybody in the place getting gassed in the rave. I sell vibes, number one supplier. Thought a man was flying till she saw me on the flyer. Time I used to sell it, now I work hard. I don't lay around all day, I'm not a liar. You know it's not a party unless I'm up in the party. I make a white girl start dancing like a yardie.
Welcome to AAA Entertainment.
Barbie, I ain't letting this leave us. So I'm like, babe,
Access All Areas Seminar.
home. I ain't leaving here alone. Here's the number to my phone. Me on my
1, 2,
you're just
3, let's go again.
A million pound girl, you a boss all of the way. That you doing your thing, you doing your thing. You don't.
Now I know you know this ain't no small record label, right? I know you know this ain't no small record label.
Put it out on the floor, I wanna come and
They're doing Fuse ODG too.
I wanna give a round of applause. I like the way you wanna rule like a king. She wanna dump bar, she phenomenal. She motivated, she elevated. She wanna dump bar, she phenomenal. She motivated, she elevated. She wanna dump bar, she phenomenal. She motivated, she elevated. She wanna dump bar, she phenomenal. She motivated, she elevated. She wanna dump bar.
Can't stop, won't stop, get guap. 10 white toes and them toy flip-flops. Manicures and pedicures, I'm always hip-top. When they say I'm not hot, all these lies need to stop. Cause I'm icy, wifey. Haters wanna fight me. Never been the one
the L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the L, the O,
O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the N, the L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S. Likely my wrist ain't looking icy. Charging by the minute cause my time is very pricey. Yeah, I be where the bosses be. Judging from my vibe, you can feel it in my energy. Stacking paper steadily so I can.
Like I said, we're time traveling, going through all the songs that I've been a part of for all many years.
I make you in front of me, girl. So
how many years even?
I'm living drama free, never living comfortably. Got a lot of goals to me. My team is trying to eat, so we grinding so immensely. You trying to get a bag of weed, I'm trying to get a bag of weed.
Yep, they looked after Saweetie.
The right companies, my dream is like a and I'm taking all the custody. Obstacles be slowing me, but that buffer molding me.
And they were even part of all WizKid's success. Let's do this. The journey is massive, ladies and gentlemen. The journey is massive. DJLongers.
I can be your substance. It's easy when the love don't hide.
DJLongers. DJLongers.
Company creates companions. So right, yeah, baby, both say I love your smile.
Damn, those lyrics there, you know. I love your smile.
You smile.
Jeez.
Do like.
Those who didn't know that WizKid could make reggae music too.
I love your laugh.
Woo!
Yeah, I love it when you smile. Say I would do anything for my love. Yeah.
Like I said, we're going through the journey. We're going through the past, the present, and the future. This is the takeover. 2TE, let's do this. DJLongers. Some people don't even realize this. Some people don't even realize this. They were part of this massive song from back in the day. Wow. Wow. Remember, this is AAA Access All Areas. The two-tone entertainment takeover right here today. We're going to get into questions and answers with them in a little while. DJLongers.
The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the N, the L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the N, the L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S.
Let's go! Like I said, we're going through the past, the present, and future. 2T Entertainment in the building. This is Access All Areas.
You better ask somebody. I wish that you were mine.
DJLongers.
I wish that you were mine.
Catalog is crazy, isn't it? The catalog is crazy. That's why today's a special one. Going out to all the people who want to get in the music industry, all the people even in the music industry. Write down your questions, send them in. We've got a lot to ask them today. Cheers! Maybe even done tunes from all over the world, different countries. Now this is a crossover song. It's kind of soca, but it ain't. Listen to it, let's go. AAA Access All Areas is about to get turned up. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, let's go. Boy.
Bend your back, go down. Nobody stand up, me say go down, we do go down. This one the dance, then waiting for so long, so go down. Line low to the Congo jump, soon as the baseline drop. Get up, me want to see the whole place erupt.
Light it out for you right about now, DJLongers.
Stand up like a soldier, baby. Yeah, I know you been like that. On it like a poster, baby. When it's really wicked like that.
Hoping that the bridge won't cave in. So now we'll let it all go free.
Give me the rhythm, let's go, come on.
Give me the ting, I made me rockin' at the dance. Give me the ting, I made me rockin' at the dance. My shit don't like stepping at the dance. Give me the ting, I made me rock. Give me the ting, I made me rockin' at the dance. Give me the ting, I made me rockin' at the dance. My shit don't like stepping.
Access all areas, we come out too. Hey! Like I said before, just giving you a quick history of some of the music they have actually been a part of. And I haven't even finished yet. There's loads more music to play anyway. But first, as we do always, we have to bring on our first PA for the day. Now, everything to do with this is to do with 2TE. So we're going to bring on our first two-tone entertainment artist. And she goes by the name of Eyelar. Can we get a round of applause for Eyelar in the building, please? Now, first things first, did I say your name correctly?
Yes.
Okay,
Eyelar,
thank
yeah.
you. Take it away, darling.
Thank you. Wow, you got so good at wrecking things. I got so good at suffering. But it's not bad when you get used to it. So I got used to it. Say you won't break me again. Tell me a lie. Go on and hurt me again. Make it cut like a knife. I'll give you second chances for the rest of my life. I'll never leave you when you know it. Daddy, no need to worry, I'm always here, 'cause I'm my daddy's girl. Daddy, no need to worry, get off your knees, 'cause I'm my daddy's girl. Wow, you left so quick I couldn't see. This tiny let you left for me. Shall I just take it with me when I sleep, so I see you in my dreams? Say you won't break me again. Tell me a lie. Go on and hurt me again. Make it cut like a knife. I'll give you second chances for the rest of my life. I'll never leave you. Daddy, no need to worry, I'm always here, 'cause I'm my daddy's girl. Daddy, no need to worry, get off your knees, 'cause I'm my daddy's girl. Say you won't break me again, tell me a lie. Go on and hurt me again, make it cut like a knife. I'll give you second chances for the rest of my life. I'll never leave you when you know it. Daddy, no need to worry, I'm always here, 'cause I'm a daddy's girl. Daddy, no need to worry, get off your knees, 'cause I'm a daddy's girl. Daddy, no need to worry, I'm always here, 'cause I'm a daddy's girl. Daddy, no need to worry, I'm always here, 'cause I'm a daddy's girl. Thank you. Thank you. That song was called Daddy's Girl. And I'm going to play one more song for you. And this is my new single called Say It With Your Eyes. Run away. All your eyes run away when you're by my side. What a waste. Oh, I feel so alone in your arms tonight. For you, I bleed and go to war, yeah, yeah. Catch you every time you fall, yeah, yeah. I will never leave you cold. All I ever wanted was a sign, yeah, yeah. I can't even reach your mind, yeah. Oh, what you will never know. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, yeah, yeah. Say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, yeah. 'Cause I can't tell anymore if you're satisfied, oh baby, yeah. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, yeah. Who are you? I was lost in the woods when I called your name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who am I? 'Cause I want what we had, but it ain't the same. The same. For you, I bleed and go to war, yeah. Catch you every time you fall, yeah. I would never leave you cold. No, all I ever wanted was a sign, yeah. I can't even reach your mind, yeah. Oh, what you will never know. Yeah. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, yeah, yeah. Say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, 'cause I can't tell anymore if you're satisfied, oh baby, yeah. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes. 'Cause we've been here 100 times. The words unsaid, deny, deny. 'Cause I can't keep telling you to try. Just try, yeah. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes. Say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, yeah. 'Cause I can't tell anymore if you're satisfied, yeah. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes, yeah. Say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes. Thank you. Thank you.
Get you over here for a little chat, darling. Can we get you over here for a little chat? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you move really fast? All right. First things first. Like, daddy's girl. Are you really a daddy's girl?
Definitely a daddy's girl. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, always want to be around daddy and stuff.
Yeah, well, my dad passed away last year, so I made this song for him. But yeah, me and him were super, super close.
All right. My condolences going out to you and the family. Now, secondly, let's get your IG and everything so people can know where to find you and find your music and everything. Go on, tell us all about it.
It's EYE as in I, EYELARX.
And how do you actually pronounce it? Because I'm sure I pronounced it wrong on the first time.
No, you did great. It's Eyelar. Eyelar. Yeah, like Eyelar.
Okay, all right. Now, it's Black History Month. Who would you say was your favorite black artist?
Oh, so many. Michael Jackson, Prince, Tupac.
Now, those are probably your biggest influences, right? Which is I was going to ask you next. That was you took away the next question. You were all the way in the future while I'm still in the past. All right, so what would you say? Who's your favorite artists that are around at the moment?
So many. Summer Walker, Kendrick Lamar, Travis Scott, like just so many, yeah.
And do you sing and rap as well, or you just a singer?
No, I am a singer, but I grew up on like hip hop and R&B and rap.
And the music you sing, is it mainly acoustic type, or tell us a bit more about it?
So today I did an acoustic type for the vibes, but my music is quite lyric and melody driven, so whatever suits the song or serves the song, whatever's best for the song is the most important.
I don't know, everybody's saying that R&B is coming back and stuff like that. Are you straight R&B, or are you very influenced in many music that you actually make yourself?
Definitely R&B influences. I think what's exciting about now is that everything can kind of be like a little bit of this, a little bit of R&B, a little bit of like rock, like it could be a melting pot of everything.
And have you got any albums on the way or anything?
I've got an EP on the way, and then I'll be working on an album.
So come on, love, plug the EP, plug the EP.
Yeah, well, we're still like, I'm still finishing it. It's not finished yet, but when it's ready, I'll hit you up.
Do you have a name for the EP?
Not yet.
Okay, so it's just coming soon. Yes. All right, Eyelar, thank you. We'll see you soon. All right, so what we're going to do is going to play a couple more songs, and then we're going to come back in with our panel.
Crazy cars.
Remember, this is a takeover. Two-Tone Entertainment on Access All Areas.
Look what we've done. Only
DJLongers.
What you do and use this song for fun.
DJLongers.
Watch me go, watch me leave you behind. We know this might not last forever. You don't. You all of your promises and I won't paint us a perfect picture so I couldn't be without you. I said no way, no way, no way, no way. Don't mention my name again, no way, no way, no way, no way. 'Cause I'm done with the games you play, no way, no way, no way, no way. I don't have the time today, no way, no way, no way, no way. 'Cause you're gonna lose your mind. I made a promise to you to never let you go. But now I see you moving on, and I'm still on the phone. Oh. Every time I say I'm happy.
Once again, welcome to Access All Areas. Right now, I want to introduce the video. Now, this will tell you all about Access All Areas. It's not going to tell you about Access All Areas. It's going to tell you all about Two-Tone Entertainment. So, audience members, everybody watching at the moment, check out the video.
Take a little sip, privacy on the door, I'ma make this shit grip. A rich nigga, 8-figure, that's my type. That's my type, nigga, that's my type. 8-inch bagel, that's the pipe. That bitch, I'ma ride a dick all night. A rich nigga, 8-figure, that's my type. That's my type, nigga, that's my type. 8-inch bagel, that's the pipe. That's my type, nigga, that's my type.
I'll be the one, I'll be the owner. Girl, come give it to the owner. Get some recognition like a soldier. Love is the thing that bring me closer. Girl, I'll be your sponsor and your donor. So why you playing games like Maradona? Girl, we're still young and getting older. Get the UC wet cause I'm the owner.
Young black king, don't die on me. You my brother, you my keeper, I need you to keep an eye on me. And no more fighting on the streets, walking around with all this pride on me. Tough for us already, know that you can still rely on me. Please, just stay alive for me.
So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes. Say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes. Cause I can't tell anymore if you're satisfied. Oh babe. So say it one more time, say it one more time, say it with your eyes.
Okay, cool. All right, I believe we're back and we're live. Mo, are you there with me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear.
Cool, great to have you. Let us know, how did you get involved in Two-Tone Entertainment?
Well, my journey wasn't, I don't think it was a usual one. I didn't have any plans or aspirations to work in music. I just got, basically became friends with Sharav, through mutual friends. I was originally working as a youth worker, and also I do a bit of player liaison with some football players in Liverpool, which turned out to be mutual friends with Sharav. And then, you know, we just hit it off and became friends. And then I think that's when Sharav started working with Distortion, who was a Dutch producer. Who the player he was working with was based from Liverpool, so I kind of started helping Sharav out with a bit of stuff with Distortion. And then it kind of somehow transitioned from a little thing on the side to basically the majority of what I was doing day to day. So we kind of formalised it and started working together. And then up north we started working on an artist called Tileyard. That was basically a development project. And then that's kind of my first proper introduction into the music industry. And yeah, I'm basically taking on day-to-day management roles. And then from there, it's kind of just progressed. Still the same, but on a larger scale. So now I'm working across Eyelar, who was just performing earlier. A-Star, which is another artist that we're managing from Liverpool also. So yeah, my journey was basically, wasn't planned, but we're here, and yeah, it's been a great one.
A beautiful coincidence. As it were. So I'm now going to go to the main man, the CEO, Sharav. Welcome.
Hey,
how did your journey
begin? All right, you good?
I'm good, thanks very much.
We're over the technical, so we can relax and talk now.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. So yes, tell us, how did you start Two-Tone? How did this musical journey start for you?
Yeah, I think as Mo says, I don't know how intentional my starting point was either. I think just grew up as a fan of music, very passionate about music from an early age, surrounded by lots of different genres of music as a kid, and felt very connected to what music did to me and the emotion that I felt when I listened to it. So it really was a process from starting as a fan of music and sort of reading sleeves at the time, which were like, you know, CD sleeves or whatever, and finding out who was involved in the business behind the scenes. I was always interested to find out who the people were. And it essentially progressed into, you know, becoming a teenager, wanting to play the records. I became a DJ. As a teenager, I started playing at house parties and at nightclubs, and then that eventually evolved into building relationships with people in the music industry and slowly starting to understand the intricacies of how the business worked and what I wanted to do within the music business became more and more apparent to me as I went further along. So yeah, it was a very progressive sort of step into the business. It wasn't an intentional, I want to be an A&R or I want to run a record label. It was born out of passion, and it was born out of interest in a business that from the outside looked very exciting and, you know, varied, but I had very little knowledge of how it really worked.
Sure. So from your sort of early beginnings for all of you, did you have mentors, or was it just your interest was kind of just taking you into the business?
I mean, I was really lucky to have mentors, and I think, you know, one of the things now that everyone has that we didn't have then was obviously the internet. We didn't have the access to the resource that is available now. And I think that when you were starting out, when I started out, it was very much about having those mentors, those people that had lived it, breathed it, and done it. And it was about trying to get close to them in any way that you could. That was what it was all about. It was about networking and going to parties and hanging out and trying to meet someone that would take you under their wing and say, I'm going to teach you the business, I'm going to teach you how it works, because it's not a conventional business in many forms. It's very, you know, open format. People can do things how they want to do things. It's a tough business to get into, and I do have an early memory as a kid wondering how it all came together. And when I first started sending my, you know, CVs out, which was the first thing I did when I didn't know anyone, I just got nothing back, you know, like nothing back at all. So I was lucky to have a couple of great mentors. Phil Nugent was one of my first mentors. He ran a production company called Full Crew, who were one of the biggest remixers for black music in the 90s. A manager named Lucia, who is still a very dear friend of mine. She managed the legend Omar, the soul singer Omar. So those were two of my earliest recollections of mentors in the business. Sure. I'm sure Derek and Charlotte have got some too. But yeah, I was lucky to have those guys as mentors, for sure.
So it seems like everybody has one thing in common. It's like everybody got into business from being your friend. So let's link up and go like clubbing one day, and you know, yeah, we could all be friends. You know. The journey sounds really great between you guys, because from being friends with Sharav, it's like he likes to keep his close people around him, which I think is very great.
Thanks,
how
man.
did you guys actually formulate that musical
Partnership?
Magnetism between you to know that this works?
Do you know what? There's a good story, because Derek was, when he was introducing himself, was telling you guys about his journey. And the first time I had a proper meeting with Derek, I actually remember, when I came to Crown, right, which is basically where the office that we're in now. We're actually in the same office that I met him for in the first time, now in the Matrix. And I came in, and at that point, Parker and James were flying. They were the hottest production duo in the country. They were doing everything from, you know, Jessie J, Chipmunk, like everything that was hot. They were like the go-to producers. And just even to get a meeting with this guy was hard at that point, right? Yeah, so Rich Castillo, who is another dear friend of ours, was very much that guy that would champion new people coming through. And I actually met him at one of my first ever music events in Medem, which was back in 2004. We were actually the only two black people at that event, which was crazy. Like, it was a very, you know, white-dominated, you know, upper echelon type event in Cannes. And me and Rich were kind of there. We looked at each other and we're like, not sure we're supposed to be here, but we're here. And we became friends. He was working for Jonathan Shalit at the time. I was at the very start of my journey, and we became friends. Anyway, I digress. Derek took the meeting with me because Rich forced him to, I think.
He introduced us, and I thought, Rich knows.
And I genuinely didn't have that much going on at the time. I'd had a few little sort of things that I'd, you know, played around with and had sort of mediocre success. This guy was killing it. Okay. And I really wanted to get in with his producers, and he was doing the whole, yeah, we haven't really got that much time right now. Yeah, so tell me more about your artist, what's going on? Anyway, one of the people that I met through him ended up being a really key person in my journey in terms of, you know, creating great music and becoming, you know, having real chart success. So it is a very small business, but going back to your original question, how did we all be, you know, how do we connect on a musical level? I think all of our passion for music is genuine, and I think that's the bottom line in everything that we do. It's never been about, you know, numbers or social media. All of that stuff is whatever. I think we all have to feel what we're working on, we genuinely love and we care about. And if that is a constant with the people that I work with, you know, when I met Charlotte, she was working at another label that was mainly indie and alternative, but I played her Eylar's music and she was excited about working on it, and to this day is still, you know, one of the most passionate people I've ever met about Eylar's music. So that, for me, if that isn't there, we don't click. And it was the same with Mo in Liverpool. You know, he was coming across so many great artists and new things in Liverpool, and the regional thing's been important for us too, in that we wanted to make sure that we were a company that represented all aspects of the country and everything that was going on, and even to a global perspective with Distortion and Eyelar, who are both Dutch, we've always wanted to represent a more global feel in what we do.
So I was going to ask that question, actually, going back to Derek. Who were your mentors? Because obviously you already got to some level before you'd even met Sharav.
To be honest, when I was at Crown, I'll probably say the only person that I really could speak to was someone like Richard Costello, who I met early doors. Sarah Stennett, I would say, was a mentor at the time. You know, she was really good with me. But there was no other real person I could speak to. So you sort of on the journey in a weird way alone. And what you don't want to do, or what you should, you know, what I should have been doing is speaking to my peers. But
there weren't many of us.
There wasn't a lot at the time, but you almost started seeing everyone as competition, and you didn't want to talk about, oh, I feel stressed out, or I feel this. You know, you just kept that to yourself. Whereas I think nowadays, everyone likes to talk about, you know, mental health and everything else. I just kept a lot of things to myself. If I was unsure, I would ask someone, whether it's registrations on PRS or PPL, or dealing with Universal's Uniport system. I just kept it to myself, you know what I mean? And but Richard Costello, I would say, was a mentor at the time, and I would say Sarah Stennett for sure.
It's interesting that you asked that question, though, Wizdom, because I think mentors and just generally the business back then, which we're talking about 10 years ago, was a very different place to how it is now.
Yep.
And there weren't a lot of people that looked like us in the business when we were there. And as Derek says, there was a lot of pressure for us to justify our position within whichever company we were in, and it was a very, you know, competitive, and well, there's only like one spot on the playlist for a black artist, so you have to like be up against each other and killing each other. That was the way that we were, you know, not bred, but like taught by these guys that worked at the corporates to, oh, that guy over there's had, you know, 3 more success stories than you in black music, you need to, you know, whatever. And of course, that's part of the music business, of course it is, but the unity that we see now in all of the different, you know, businesses that exist within the music industry now, particularly the black music ones, is a completely different playing field now. And it's amazing for us to see. Like, it genuinely makes us happy that so much work has been done to get us to this point where people are collaborating and helping each other.
Yeah, I think that is really, really important, and I want to bring Mo in on that, especially from a regional point of view, because there was a long time that even when we did start seeing more UK urban music or UK black music, it was just very London focused. How did you find that in Liverpool?
Sorry, could one of the panel repeat the question for me? Because I can't really hear the host right now. So could you
need to get
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Is that any better?
Yeah, got it.
Is that better? Good, no problem. Now, I was just going to say that while we know that there's been a lot of movement here with the black music, but a lot of it has come from London-centric artists. As someone who is based in Liverpool, how have you seen that unity grow and change?
Well, to be honest, I feel like all the big moves that have been happening in the capital has definitely given the artists in Liverpool a lot more confidence to be able to pursue the types of music that they wanted to make. Because Liverpool's always been, it's a massive music city, but it's kind of always leaned towards indie bands and to some extent pop acts. But for urban music, for black artists, it was never really taken seriously. But I feel like the bigger the scene has gotten over the last couple of years has opened up more spaces, more opportunities, and more lanes for artists from the north to come through. Manchester, for example, someone like Bugsy opening up avenues for new artists like H, for example. And in Liverpool, we've got A-Star, who isn't there yet. He's definitely on his way up, but it's inspiring, and it's definitely opening up lanes for artists from Liverpool to have the confidence to take it seriously and actually go for it.
Yeah, I think even if you look at Nines as an example, and someone like A-Star would not look at the traditional pop act and say, this is inspiring me because of the music that he makes, but seeing someone like Nines top the charts, making music that's true to his art form and what he's about is super inspiring for someone like A-Star. As you said, Bugsy Malone, H, there's now, I think, 10 years ago there was 1 or 2 big black music success stories a year, if you were lucky, a Tiny Temper or a Chipmunk or a Tinchy Strider, but now it's 1 every month or 1 every couple of months. So the number of case studies are just infinitely more, and everyone feels more confidence about moving forward and executing their art in the way that they feel, is honest and true to themselves.
Yeah, for example, Hot Paper has been a great example where, he's just come out of prison and telling his real stories, unfiltered, unwatered down. Yeah, is giving people the confidence that they can tell their true story without compromising the sound, content, visuals, the way they speak, the way they dress, and still chart. So definitely, obviously that's going to be really helpful for London artists, but it has had a knock-on effect to the rest of the country, I'd say.
I want to ask you guys about early successes, as in when you've kind of taken an artist that you've believed in and it's actually taken off, and what kind of that journey has been like for you. Let's start with you, Derek. What was that journey? Because I think a lot of the guys who watch this feed are very much at the beginnings of their career, and it's difficult sometimes to work out what is success looking like, because it sometimes doesn't actually feel like it's succeeding until something actually happens. So what was your experience of that?
I mean, when I first started, when I was managing Parker and James, Parker already knew Chipmunk through the whole MySpace thing. And I remember, one of the first records that they did was a record called Beast with Loic Essien on it. So they went from that. I started managing them, started networking, and Chipmunk ended up getting signed. There was a big bidding war for him, and we ended up having the first record. So you can imagine I'm managing one of the guys, I believe Parker was 17, and Carl James was about 19, 20. And the first record we put out went straight to #1. Wow. And, I've only been in the music business less than a year, and professionally, because I started working at Crown, 2 or 3 months. So it was just okay, this is what happens. This is, you make a record, it goes to #1, and then it goes quiet. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of A&Rs that will, you've had your moment and it's done. But they repeated the success the following year, having a #2 with Jessie J. But I guess, looking at that now, you take those sort of things for granted. It's because I first got into the music business, you were rolling with it, just cracking on, not enjoying the moment because you're always looking for the next thing, because it could just go like that. Yep. So I never actually got to enjoy that moment. There was a period, and looking back on it now, if I had that same thing happening to me now, so there was a period when my clients had 3 top 10s in the same week. Yeah. If I had that success now, I'll probably get a label, I'll probably have my own label. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas at that time, it was just like, I just need to make sure I'm maintaining this. And then that's a pressure in itself, because you're not enjoying the moment and taking the meetings. And, you know what I mean? I was just so focused on what's next. Oh my gosh, this could go any minute.
It's a real thing though, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people feel that pressure even now. And I say to every young artist that's having a moment, whatever that moment is, whether it's your first sort of major playlist or your first big radio play or chart success, try and celebrate every bit of it in the best way that you can, because all of it is positive reinforcement for your own long-term success. You need that mental strength of being able to celebrate the smaller wins, because we're in a very critical industry, and I'll say this like very honestly and frankly, in that the level of critique that we give other people's music and our own music has a massive impact on our personal lives too, because it ends up making us very, very negative about a lot of things that we don't necessarily need to be, because we're always being critiqued and we're always critiquing others. So it's really important that any new artist that's listening to this, or anyone that's on their way up, enjoys every small moment. And actually, one of the best experiences I had working for a company was at 3Beat, where I signed Fuse and Stylo and some of the other acts that you've mentioned. One of the best things about that experience was John Barlow, who runs that label, was brilliant at enjoying every small moment. It literally, first radio play with Annie Mac, you know, first big, you know, chart entry position, even if it was a top 40 or a top 60 or whatever it was, however, you know, incidental it might have been, he was always brilliant at making sure that everything was talked about in a positive light. And that is something that, for our own mental health, for all of us moving forward in the business, if we don't encourage those small wins and those small celebrations, it's very, very lonely and depressing, this business, because we all feel the pressure of social media and what happens there.
I was just going to ask Aaron, actually, as you're developing in the business, what has been one of your first wins?
Well, one of my first wins would have been signing my first record, which was quite recently. So, Owner, I don't know if you've heard it, by OluwaJBeats, producer, and a few other artists. When that got onto a radio playlist, would have been, to me, the first feeling of some sort of success. Do you know what I mean? But it's when you're in the moment, you don't take it in, because you're still focused on what comes next and the other bits and bobs. And it's like, yeah, you're here, but there's still a lot to do and other bits to go. So yeah, I would also say enjoy every little moment and try not to overthink it. So just enjoy it as it comes and then move on to the next, because once it's gone, it's gone.
So Aaron, as the youngest guy in the group, there's going to be a lot of people that want to do your job. So give us a little insight into what you do and how it's done, because I'm sure everybody would want to be in your position right now.
Well, start at different points with this. So because I'm still so new, I'm literally across, say everything, but it's bits of everything. So from publishing, finding homes for beats, for people like, we got a producer we just took on, Ghosty, who's a drill producer, incredible talent. So he's got tons and tons of beats just on a 2020 folder, over 500. So that is literally just one thing is going through tons of beats just to find a home for maybe one of the up-and-coming new artists who are out there who are looking for that beat which isn't over the top, where they're going to have to charge something crazy, but it will suit their style, or even the bigger artists, because every beat needs a home. And then besides that, you can have things like scouting, so there's tons of new artists out there coming up. And the annoying thing is the industry's sort of been filtered now, or sort of drowned with so much music and sounds that people finding it hard to come up. So that's why you have people like me who are there looking for that different piece of talent which someone could have. It's not the everyday usual thing which everyone has. It's that little thing which differs someone from someone else, which people try to express and you have to find if you want to find real talent. So that's the scouting side. And then there's also management with these guys with Distortion, A-Star, Mo, and Eyelar. There's many, many things. So if I continued, I'll be speaking as much as my mentor, Shrav. So.
And Charlotte, how about you? What was your first successes and what was the journey for that like?
I think like a first moment for me was when I was working as a radio plugger. I was working with this band, and I pitched them for the BBC stage at Glastonbury, and they managed to get a slot on the stage. I just felt so happy for them. Like, it's the biggest festival in the world, and it's my favorite festival, and I was about 23 years old at the time, so it was definitely a big win for me. And yeah, it's definitely still a very good memory of mine. I think when people ask me like what's been one of your favorite things so far in music, I just think because I was at such a young age and it just felt like such a huge win for me, and the band were chuffed with it. And yeah, it's just really nice to get those wins and then to see the reaction from the artists, and they're just so happy, and yeah, it makes you happy, and it's good. It's nice.
So I think it's also important then to talk about the other side of this, which is within the music industry, there is a lot of failure. Sharav, just talk to you a little bit about what were some of the things that you had to overcome that you thought were working but ultimately didn't happen?
So many. I mean, where do I start? For every one that is a success, there's so many that don't work. But I think all of them play a huge part in whichever ones do become successful, because you're learning from every mistake and every dead end or wrong turn. I think it would be hard for me to pull out one particular failure or lesson that I learned and say this was the key one. But I think there were so many moments where what you think and how it's going to play out, or how you think it's going to play out and what actually happens, are two completely different things. And I think you can't second guess that. I think one of the things that we've talked about so far is enjoying the journey and rolling with it and seeing where you end up. I think being passionate about something and believing in what it is you're working on is the core and the most essential thing, but also not being blind to obvious signs, which sometimes you are when you're so deep in a project. You want to make it work so much, but sometimes people just don't connect with other people. And I think that's, if I could pinpoint it to anything, it would be being able to identify when your artist has traction with real people. Now it's a little bit different because of social media and how people can sort of work that platform or finesse it in a certain way to be able to make it look like they have more interest than they do. But that thing of connecting with people, whether it be through your personality, what you're saying in your songs, or who you are as a person, I think that's the thing that if you can identify if that is working or not, that's probably the most important indicator of if something is going to work. But yeah, there's been so many challenges along the way. I mean, from songs that you believe in and nobody else does, or people closing the door on a genre because they don't think it's a real genre. I mean, a story that I've told a few times is about Radio 1's lack of belief in Afrobeats when we first started, and them looking at it as a genre that was not a genre, and comparing it to dancehall and saying it was the same thing and it was the same audience, and it was mind-blowing. Some of the stuff that we've come up against when it comes to promoting particularly black music to mainstream culture has been crazy. But in the end, the numbers or the people do the talking, and I think that's what social media, this new generation of how people promote music and work music is all about now. It's about the stats speak for themselves, and if you can really home in on an artist that has that real connection with an audience, you'll find your way with it.
So on the downside, an artist that you believe in, that you think is going to be the #1 artist in the world, how do you go about letting them go when they don't
tough.
quite?
It's tough, and I've got to say, again, just being really honest, brutally honest, it's probably not something I'm great at. I think there's some people that are really good at knowing when to cut ties with something and saying it's not really working out, move on. And it is quite a cutthroat business in that respect, but I'd like to think that as a company we're really supportive and loyal to the people that we work with. People go through ups and people go through downs. I think as a company you have to stay agile and flexible and make sure that you have money coming in from different streams, which is why we are a 360 company. We're a company that operates across management, publishing, and records. So when one area is doing great, then brilliant. And if another area isn't doing so great, then some of the other artists or some of the other things that we're working on pull it up and keep us in a place where we can support those artists that are going through dark times. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. DJs can't perform. There's at least 2 or 3 of our acts on our roster that are completely wiped out from income. And if it wasn't for the fact that we had income coming from our publishing clients or our streaming catalog or whatever, we'd probably be, streamlining our business to just me and one other person. But I'm blessed that I've got these guys who have worked their butts off throughout this really difficult time. And everyone's been multifaceted in what they do. We work across all disciplines. As Aaron just mentioned, he's doing everything from pitching beats to finding new talent to, going out, running around on video shoots at 2 a.m. in the morning. Nobody asks questions about, what my job description is, because that's not the kind of company we are. There's some companies that are very rigid and very tight in their structure, and some of those companies are in real trouble right now. So I think, in answer to your question, how do you go about dropping someone? It's not easy, they only have one career. We get to influence multiple careers. That's something that I always remind managers and industry people on a regular basis. You can't get too mad about artists or creatives if they make decisions that are quite single-minded because they only get one career. I think letting go of people is usually a mutual thing, to be honest with you. Both people know, you get to that point, it's like a relationship. You get to that point where it just doesn't feel the same anymore. So you've got to know when that is and then hold your hand up and say, I'm not really that passionate about it anymore. It kind of goes back to the same thing of when the music and the direction and the vision of where you're going, they don't marry anymore.
So with that, within that, that's all about timing. So you guys have gone from working with major labels to now being independent. How is it you know that the timing is right to be independent? Because you cut your ties with all those, well, not all the artists, because some of the artists will be under your umbrella anyway, but you cut your ties with some of the artists and you decide that you're going to take it and make it your own independently without the big machine. How do you work out that the timing is right?
You know what? The timing could never be more right for that. And I'll tell you why. Again, I keep saying the same thing, but it's about what your morals are and what you believe in. And I didn't believe what I was selling anymore to the artists that we were signing in the deals that we were offering them. I didn't believe that those deals were fair. I didn't feel like they were representative of the work that they were doing to get to the point where they were. They were all geared up to give major corporations repertoire and massive levels of revenue. Those deals were never about equality or respecting the creative. And for a long time in this business, we were just made to believe that this is the way it's run, this is what it is, be happy with it. And I think particularly for black music, the work that gets done to create momentum and excitement and social media stats is so insular with the artist and their core team, whether it be their manager or whoever their creative person is. So the balance of the deals are completely wrong. And within a year of doing my deal with a major, I felt uncomfortable about the deals that I was offering other artists. I felt uncomfortable about the conversations about royalties and the way that money was being handed out in some of these deals. Young people that were effectively being brought or being made to feel like, at some point they were prepared to sign their life away for a number. It wasn't about encouraging or building entrepreneurs or future businesses. It was just about acquiring copyrights for a major corporation. So that was essentially the reason. I had a really great experience I learned a lot of things, but the idea was always to come out of that situation and build my own empire that was completely standalone, that allowed us to reinvest in young creatives, entrepreneurs, and all of the above. And I think as an economy, and we're in Black History Month, it's really important that we touch on this. one of the most important things that can happen is the true support for the growth of our businesses within this sector, because so much money is made from the corporations, from our culture and our music, but yet so little of that is pumped back into the communities and the people that have put their time, effort, energy and love into making the music. So for me, the growth of our business and the reinvestment was the core driving factor. It wasn't about, oh, streaming's doing this, or nothing to do with that. It was about, it's not fair anymore. It's time for change.
So with Black History being where we are right now, Black History Month, individually, who would you say is the biggest influence on you guys business-wise, individually, one by one?
That's a great question. Aaron, you go first.
You're just gonna throw it on me. All right, so for me, I don't even know. So from a more younger side, I'd say, oh boy, no, I'm gonna just go straight to it would be someone like Diddy. So him himself has created his own empire from music, drinks, other sorts, and he, as you've probably seen from some of the clips of him, he don't want to stop. He just knows what he wants, and he knows everything he wants to do. He wants to be attached to him, his creation, all his rights, and all sorts. So him as a person would be my sort of inspiration in terms of a black role model, because he's built himself in a crazy way.
Diddy, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. What about you, Charlotte?
This might sound a bit cliche, but maybe someone like Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like, she is the hardest working woman. You can't fault her. She is so hardworking. Yeah, and I just think that she's such a brilliant inspiration for young women and feminism and women's rights. Yeah.
I think that's a great person, because at the same time, a lot of people see the artist, they don't know her as a business person. So when you mention her as an artist, you think to yourself, oh, but she's an artist. You said business person. They don't actually see the business side and what she does.
Yeah, behind the scenes and all the hard work that goes into it, for sure.
Derek?
You know what? I would give two answers for that. One of them being a company that we set up a JV with recently. So Tim Blacksmith and Danny D. They are publishers that we've partnered up with who've had massive successes with, well, they've had massive success before we were involved with them, and we're trying to build, something with them. I think, for especially two black guys from London, Danny D being Ghanaian like myself, he's brought up not too far away from where I live. I think that's quite inspiration to see what they've done as well. They've built built some ridiculous catalogue. And to be in partnership with them through Shirav has been a huge blessing. Another one would be Stormzy. Just the fact that he's a young black entrepreneur. He's not just a artist, but he's put his manager on. He could have joined so many other management companies. He probably had the pick of every management company would have probably, taken him on. But he's backed his mate, one of his boys, to get involved in his business. And his whole team are just, if you want to put it like this, it's just, a lot of them are just randoms. People that he believed in. He's basically put these people together. And now they're like the Avengers. Do you know what I mean? When you really break it down. But I love what Stormzy's done, being a young black Ghanaian entrepreneur as well. But, just the fact that he's believed in himself, backed himself, and he's built a ridiculous business. And the same as Tim and Danny as well. So those, I'll probably say those guys.
Now, Mo, can we bring you in on that?
I think at the risk of sounding a bit corny, I'm going to have to go with Shirav. Because, over the years... That, by the way. Sorry?
I was going to say that, by the way.
As an inspiration, as a mentor, all the years of, anything that he knows, he's always ready to share, information, advice. And, any of the times that I've wavered and it felt too much, or, he started having doubts, he's always there to, steady the ship and, keep everyone on track. very selfless in the sense of, time, resources, connections, everything's open. So yeah, I'd have to go with Sharav.
Getting a pay rise. The rest of them is not.
Send me the invoice.
The rest of them is not. Great answer.
Jeez.
Hope Diddy's watching this.
Big up Mo. Respect for that. And just so I can send the love back here, because I think it's important too. Mo and I have known each other for a very long time, and I can say that he is genuinely one of the most honest and loyal people that I've ever met. When we first became friends, before anything was happening with music or anything else, he will always break his neck for you, and that's the kind of culture that I want to be around, and the people that I want to have around me, people that have got each other's backs no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think we're very lucky in the people that we work with. As Derek mentioned, Tim and Danny are incredible partners to have on the publishing side. They're, like us, they grew up friends. They were remixing other people's records. They were, they met through the music business and have worked together and remained friends, through thick and thin. And it's a really heartwarming story to come full circle for us to be able to work with people like them, people that we looked up to and admired as kids. They were like legends or myths to us. They were people that you couldn't really get access to, and to have access to them whenever we want now, as much as you can, is amazing. So yeah.
I think one of the things that it's great hearing from you is the community that you have fostered and built around the business. I've been talking to a few people of recent that have been talking about the fact that generally the black community doesn't do nepotism. We don't bring our friends in. We don't necessarily bring our family in. And that's led to sometimes black music creating something amazing that doesn't then get passed down. How are you seeing that change, and how have you been kind of pushing that forward?
Yeah, I'm trying to change that. I think it's difficult because as a business, you want to employ the best people at what they do, and as a business, it's competitive, and it always is, the music business. But we have to encourage investment into our own communities and our own talent. If we don't, it is going to keep getting, raided, for want of a better word, by the majors who are going to come along and, give these guys checks. And it's happened to us a few times. We've developed some brilliant young people that have been, picked off by record companies that have put the shiny check in front of them. I think, nepotism's an interesting word, because it doesn't necessarily just mean, your friends. It can be family. It can be across the board. And there's definitely a certain type of person that gets opportunities in the music business easier than others, and they usually come from a good background in terms of their parents have done pretty well for themselves. They can afford for them to go to do work experience for 6 or 12 months and not worry about how they're going to pay their bills and looking after their mum or what. Like, those are not things that they worry about. They come from privileged backgrounds. So I think it's important that we do more internship schemes or training schemes to help young people that are coming through, and we pay them, and we make sure that they are, able to live and survive and make this a living, because the business is thriving, across all areas, and there's enough revenue for all these companies to be investing into young people, whether black or white or whatever their background is, to encourage them to grow and succeed. I think for black music and for our business in particular, the reason why we work the way we do, and I think Tim and Danny are exactly the same, in that it's about promoting people that are passionate about what they do and encouraging them and mentoring them. So I'm only doing with Aaron, or what I did with Mo many years ago, like what was done for me when I first started with the people that I was lucky enough to be around, just giving them as much of my experience and my journey so they can go off and have their own incredible journeys along the way.
I want to direct Derek to start off with and then widen it out. Why do you think that there's been certain black genres that have come up over the years, and I'm thinking of from jungle to funky house to even Afrobeat as an example, that have peaked in a way, continued an underground following, but peaked in a mainstream sense, and then not necessarily been taken up and supported. I think Afrobeat's done really, really well, and we've just had, grime had its dip and then has come back. But why do you think that is, and what do you think we can do to change that?
You know what? I think part of the reason why we're in the place where we are right now is the platforms that we have. I don't know if there was a real platform for garage. It was just basically what you were exposed to. I think now you could go to, whether it's Mixtape Madness, GRM, Link Up TV. You've got somewhere that you could go to on a regular basis. I think back in the day it was Channel AKA, but I think at that point you still had to have a bit of money to create those videos. Yeah. Even the worst videos probably cost a bit of money. I feel that we're in a time, especially that there's so much exposure towards black music. I think that what we need, if garage was to survive, it would have needed a platform or someone to basically, carry that whole thing forward. But I don't think there was anyone else to do that. Do you know what I mean?
I think the thing is with garage, it's interesting, and sorry to jump in, D, but I signed Conductor a couple of years ago, who's like one of the new wave of these, garage producers that's trying to keep the spirit of it alive. And I think it's made a comeback of sorts. AJ Tracy. There's been a few records that have touched, people in terms of a garage vibe. But platforms and genres, as Derek says, like a platform is really important. A lot of our music comes from the club and from an underground culture. And so when that needs a wider exposure or a wider audience, the platform and the power of that platform is an essential part of that. But also it's very cyclical. Do you know what I mean? And when you say garage was an extension of house music, and then grime turned into, rap, or now into drill. It's just a natural evolution. Funky house turned into deep house, or whatever you want to call it now. So I think these are just names that we create, and to give ourselves something new and exciting, because every generation is different. Aaron would not necessarily cite grime as an influence in his musical catalogue, whereas for us it was our first experience of seeing young black British rappers having their own scene and something that sounded like nothing else. So I don't know if that
with everything you mentioned, there's a culture to it. Like there was a culture to garage, and that's the reason why it grew the way it grew, stayed there for so long without there being the internet, etc., etc. So what is your guys' feelings on the cultural things and the way it kind of garage coming back?
I mean, garage was I was very involved in it, so I can say safely that it was one of my favorite eras in terms of musically, because it was a community. You went out and you saw your friends, and you were together, and you listened to the same records together, and you had this appreciation. I think it's probably the same as it is now for Aaron with drill, or with any form of rap. I don't know if you can bring a genre back. I think everything evolves and, changes over time. What do you think, Aaron? Is garage a thing for you?
Not for me personally, but it's for whoever was around it. So it's an energy thing. So whether it's drill, garage, grime, you feel a certain way when you listen to it. It's a certain sort of energy which you feel, and obviously there's different levels depending on the quality of the songs. But as long as you're drawn to that sort of energy and it's for you, then you can call that culture, really, I would say, because even if it's not for everyone, you yourself will still listen to it. So.
Do you think that you've been introduced to that culture?
You talking about drill specifically, or garage or grime?
Well, I think going on from what Longers was talking about, we've had a number of different sort of black music cultures. As a younger person coming into this industry, do you feel that you've been introduced to some of the music cultures that have come before, or has it just started where you are at?
Well, I would say drill's obviously been around for a while, because you have American drill as well, which not everyone will know that they started their own drill in Chicago. But me myself, I'd say drill's only really become relevant since the streaming platforms have enabled the younger generation to put their music out there, because before then you'd have to literally know where to look to find that specific lane of music. So with all these distributors now, you can actually just go and find a playlist or some sort and learn to love the music. So for me, because I grew up around the same people who listen to the same sort of music as me, it's like it naturally grew on me, and I liked all the artists anyway, and all the drill artists dip into different subgenres anyway in a sort, so it's not just heavily drill. There is different things, so it's not hard to sort of be drawn to it. So me myself, I would say I've always liked it, but being a huge fan of it, it had to grow on me.
Do you think as well, in terms of drill, and obviously the death of Pop Smoke, and the fact that it's kind of started off as started off in Chicago, but it's grown in the UK, and now the US are into it. I actually don't really remember a time for a while where there was a UK music style that was adopted by the US, and especially not New York. Do you feel that that's making drill even a bigger platform?
Oh, 100%, because obviously America's got a bigger platform themselves. Their country is huge, so when they're putting out music, their audience is a lot wider, and there's a lot more people who have eyes on it, so it's literally being pushed out to a lot more people out there. So when they're taking inspiration from us and taking our sort of style of music over there, it's literally just raising awareness all over the place. So,
I mean, look, let's be real. The Americans have always been taking our stuff in small, doses and different capacities. I mean, I remember it's like a bit of a weird memory of Britney Spears sampling a bit of a dubstep record in one of her records and using that as a riff. Like they've been doing it forever. Rihanna's here all the time. They come here and they listen to what's going on. Drake samples house records.
Even, sorry to interject, I remember having a meeting with Rodney Jerkins, and a lot of his inspiration came from, I don't know if you remember when he started doing that sort of speedy sort of two-step sound, and that came from garage. And Rodney Jerkins was like, I used to love garage. And he ended up producing two-step sounding records.
Okay, so quick question on that. Would you say the things that they're doing in terms of taking our style, etc., from the UK and taking it back to the US and acting like it's their own, rip-off or great promotion for us?
No, it's a form of it's both. I agree with Derek, but I think they don't have their own culture really over there, and I mean that with the most respect, in that our melting pot here in the UK is completely different to what they have over there. It's quite segregated in the US, so they don't have that fusion. Garage is a fusion of multiple genres: soca, dancehall, house music, you R&B. You could put 4 or 5 different genres into there. I don't think they have that same fusion in the US, which is why everything they do sounds very compartmentalized, for want of a better word. So, yeah, look, do they give us the credit we deserve? Probably not. But then their audience is so big and so wide. I think it's too difficult for them to really give it that level of.
So I myself would say it depends on the artist, because there's a lot of American drill artists out there, or the ones who do drill as well, who actually like our culture, and they're the ones who people know least about, because they're not as focused on getting themselves out there in the public, more to get in the rooms with our artists and our drill artists so that they can make music and understand the culture more. And it's only when they have a true understanding, or they have a project which can really show that, where you'll see those artists sort of promote it to the world. But then there are the other artists who just know the look of the UK drill and then want to exploit it. So it really differs.
Yeah, there's definitely exploitation happening though. Let's be real. I think there's multiple collaborations with UK and US artists where the UK artist will promote it a lot more than the US artist will, because the UK artist is generally excited to have that cosign. But I think a lot of the big artists like the Stormzy's and the AJs have started to see through that now, because I think they realise that they've got their own value, their own ecosystem. They don't need these Americans anymore. And
Definitely,
so
100%.
now it's coming back the other way, where American artists, and I worked on Sweetie, who was a US artist, one of the first US artists that I was lucky enough to be really involved in day to day, and understanding the UK culture and being part of it is not something you can do part-time in the same way we can't do it over there. So I think it's starting to change.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you guys. We're going to have to just take a little break. We're going to have another live performance coming to stage, but I'm going to play one more song before we bring them on. So stay right there. AAA is going into the next level.
It's you! See, I just came back from Ghana, and I want to share this dance that everyone was doing over there. So the QB tried to show me how to do it. He sat me down in this place, and he said to me, nobody want to see you rising, and when they do, they don't even like it. They just want to see you deep in crisis. Drive yourself, you don't need a license. Holler her, she can even ride it. Go ahead, move your feet just like this. Then he show you the latest. You walk over the haters. What you do when you zonto, zonto, zonto. Now watch me do my zonto, zonto, zonto. Now watch me do my zonto, zonto, zonto. Now watch me do my zonto, zonto. You walk over the haters. The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S. You walk over the haters. Know what you do, man? You don't wanna learn how to do this, so I'ma take you right through this. I want to dance, it's the movement. So when you jump on the floor, better use it. First step is a step. You can move to the right, to the left. You can even freestyle when you step. Put your hands in the air, then you rep.
Fuse ODG and SPZ, what we tell them. Blaze them.
Look at you in that dress, girl. You dangerous like a gun. Give them you nothing less, girl. You murder everyone. The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S. DJLongers. The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S. Look at you in that dress, girl. You dangerous like a gun. Give them you nothing less, girl. You murder everyone. Your love is a killer. Your love is a killer. Yeah, look at you. Somebody call a popo, cause the way that you looking is so cool. If you ain't ready, then you need to go home. Maybe where you see her running on a solo. She got me begging Odo, and she all up on me like a logo. But I'm not complaining, my baby, let's go. She kill her in the dance, she better with the waist. Everybody watching when she turn up in the place. You ain't got a chance if you really tryna race. She already had a finish line with her face. I shot it went down, then she went low. Gave it to her battle like she in a relay. The craziest thing is she don't know how beautiful she is every day. Look at you in that girl, you dangerous like a gun. Give them nothing less, girl, you murder everyone. The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S. Your love is a killer. Yeah, look at.
Once again, welcome everybody. This is Access All Areas, AAA, and we have been taken over by Two Tone Entertainment, aka 2TE today. We've got another performance to come up on the stage, and they're going to come and shut it down. And afterwards, the actual panelists are going to come back on stage, and we're going to ask them a whole heap more questions about the future, what artists to look out for, etc., etc. So look out for a massive show today. So, as usual, I need you guys to put that energy. And I know you're at home. I know you're at home, or wherever you are on the road. But I want you to put that energy in and give us that virtual round of applause to OluwaJBeats featuring Key, the Prince, Adejosh, and Charlie Mace. This song is called Ona.
Let's get it.
Can you guys mention your own names, because I don't know if I messed that up, all right? So introduce you guys self again, please.
Go to. I go by the name of Adejosh.
Charlie Mace.
Keys the Prince.
And what's the name of the producer?
OluwaJBeats.
All right, that's the one. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's go.
Hey, help me increase it on the monitor. Yeah. What we say? I did just for the goddamn. What we saying? Yeah, listen, like, see, gotta be the one, I be the, yeah. So God, come give it to the, getting recognition like a, yeah. Your love is the thing that bring me closer. Gotta be your sponsor and your, so why you playing games on my run? Girl was still young and getting, yeah. Say me get the pussy wet cause I'm
yeah. She want a Gucci, she want a Prada. I want a Gucci, call me the father. I made her loose,
come on,
she made me harder. I put it too deep, I pull her after.
Oh, she wanna, oh, she bad.
Who she wanna holler, I'm with the gang. She sent me location like Santa. I'm caveman, make bed rock like Batman.
When I come and step up in the function, just tell me how you feeling, gone. Then I have on my Wizzy, on my Lizzy, type of reparation.
You know there ain't no limit.
What's up? Like, girl, I be the one, I be the yeah. So, girl, come give it to the getting recognition like a your love is the thing that bring me. Girl, I be your sponsor and your so why you playing games like Mara? Girl, we're still young and getting so me get the pussy wet cause I be
I got a character that need me, want it weekly. Call me Mr. Cheese, I just love it peachy. Bad boy, 5-star, I ain't never PG.
What
She
else?
love a tea-bag, come on
Baby, freaky, like
sunshine, when she bust it, husties can't touch it. Always peace and love the way they see me in public. She hate it when I'm friendly with the galley, like stop it. But I love it. I see it when you're running like a me, cause she really want fuck. You know me, I go for the
send me knocking with me, cocking when me knocking at her back. You know, send me coming right back. Ooh. Girl, I be the one, I be the so girl, come give it to the getting recognition like a your love is the thing that bring me see, girl, I be your sponsor and your so why you playing games like Mara? See, girl, is still young and getting older. Said me get the UC wet cause I do see, girl, I be the one, I be the so girl, come give it to the getting recognition like a your love is the thing that bring me see, girl, I be your sponsor and your so why you playing games like Mara? Girl, we're still young and getting send me get the pussy wet cause I'm the sign out. You go by the name of Ade Josh.
Keys the Prince. Charlie Mace. Big up OluwaJBeats, you feel me?
Hey, an owner remix out right now.
Boom.
Virtual round of applause for the gang, please. OluwaJBeats and the team. Guys, I need you guys to come over here. Do you understand what I mean?
Snap.
Like, yeah, I need to talk to you guys and find out a bit more about you guys. You know what I mean? Come on. Let's get this done. Come on. Hey, where you going? Come on, man. We gotta talk. We gotta talk, man. We gotta talk. First things first. Just come by the sign over here. You know what I mean? Just kind of. So first things first. I like the song. I love the song. Yeah. Dub plate. You know. DJLongers is the owner. You see, my dub plate here. You know. All right. So tell me about you guys, man. Like, starting from you. What's your name again, bruv?
Keys the Prince.
All right, so tell us about yourself.
I'm a rapper, producer from West London. Yeah, and I make great music, man.
Are you all guys from West London?
No.
Okay, and tell me about yourself.
Ade Josh for the girl them, to be exact.
Yeah, for the girl them.
But by blood Nigerian, raised in the UK, so it's in the name, and that's what I put into the music. Yeah,
okay. And is it you as well, bruv? Sorry.
Sir, I left my mic somewhere, but Charlie Mace from Eastside, Essex to be precise. Now.
Wow, Essex in the building. Woo! Helicopter journey.
You got jokes, huh? I like you.
Sorry.
No, I'm joking. I'm Nigerian as well, you know what I mean? I'm raised in the UK, born in the UK. Look at me, I'm just taking over. Sorry, I have passports, don't worry.
You sure? Okay, all right.
So yeah, man, that's me, man.
And how did you guys all come together? Like, are you guys a group or are you just individuals that got actually come onto a track?
Just friends, man.
Yeah.
We're all bridging still. Kind of happened by accident still.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
God, it was good.
It
was good. Yeah, it was good still.
All right, so talking about Black History Month, because we're in Black History Month at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Individually, each one of you. First thing with you, your influence in the game. Yeah, your biggest influence in the music business.
What, right now or just in general?
Past and present. Let's do this.
There's a long list. Tupac, Lauryn Hill, Biggie, J. Cole, Kanye West, Fela Kuti.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
Rich Chip. So
yep, I hear you.
As well.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Everything he said, but plus.
Hey, you can't cheat with that one.
You
You can't cheat with that one. Come on.
See, life is an inspiration, so I get inspiration from life. You understand? So there's too many artists. I can't just pick one, but yeah.
Okay.
Everything he said plus more.
Go.
Yes, everything Tim said. Plus, plus.
Go.
You know, the Diddy's, the Bad Boys, the Donald Joneses, the Biggies, the. You know, there's too many. And then UK, we got,
I heard some dancehall style in there as well. No, what are you
mentioning the dancehall? You know what? The dancehall style comes from, being a man.
Okay, yes, all right, cool.
Zagaza, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Zagaza, yeah.
A bit of Barrington, Levy, old school. You know what I mean? Buju as well. Yeah, man, like there's a bunch. I just love music. I don't believe that you should be genre specific, sorry. And yeah, man,
And
Limitless.
Oluwaje, where is he today?
He's
He's living that high life, yeah? All right. I heard there's a remix coming out with this as well.
That's out already.
Oh, it's out?
Yeah,
Okay, tell us about the remix. Who's on the remix?
ID.
Yeah.
Big up.
ID.
Ivorian Door, Rams, Style OG.
Okay. Okay, that sounds like a big remix. All right, so is the song out like on all platforms at the moment, or is it something that's getting ready to release?
Yeah, it's out on everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. YouTube, Spotify.
And where, so they can stream it and download it now.
Everything legally though.
Okay,
legally.
now let's go into your guys' socials. Where can they find you? Where can they come and holler at you? Where can they find that information, etc., etc.?
Yeah, you'll usually see me causing trouble on Twitter at Keys the Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram posting them nice pics as well. Keys the Prince, you'll find me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay.
You can find me on Insta. That's Ade Josh Noni.
So instead of Ade.
Ade Josh Noni. That's ADEJOSHNONI.
Okay, I was about
for my
to say
people.
that.
And on Twitter, that's Ade Josh Official.
Okay.
For me on Twitter, Snap, Insta, everything, that's Charlie Mace. I think on Insta is Charlie Mace 1. I'm the only one. So yeah, man. Bit of everything. Music, personality, entertainment, man. Life is too short, you know what I mean? Trying to make you lot smile and dance. Is it me?
Okay. It's Zimit. I hear you, bro. You know what, guys? Thanks you once again. Can we have a virtual round of applause for the guys? And we're ready to rejoin with the panel. So let's welcome them back onto the stage.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Fantastic artists from your label that you guys have been working on. How long have you been developing with these guys?
Well, we signed the record back at the start of the summer now, wasn't it, Aaron? Yeah. It's like July, June? Yeah, June, July. I mean, look, this is a great story for us in that, you know, Aaron came across a song that he was genuinely excited about. He heard it on No Signal, who are a great new platform that are doing their thing right now. And yeah, he was really passionate about it. He kept bugging me saying, you need to hear this tune. It's really good. I think it's going to do something. And he was super passionate about it. And these guys are all brand new artists. No one necessarily knows them yet. We took a shot at breaking a new record and some new artists. And it's been great watching them grow. And the remix that they just mentioned, obviously some established names on there that are now shining light on them. So there's been that sort of cross-pollination of their audiences with the new artists. So it's been brilliant. It's the kind of development and nurturing that we were talking about earlier in terms of trying to break new music. It's, you know, there's lots of brilliant, big established names out there, but we've got to keep doing what we're doing and shining the light on exciting new talent.
Cool. Well, while the guys have been performing, we've been having some questions come through. And we have a question from Shamala, who's asking, what useful events should a first-time artist manager be looking to go to build relationships and increase their network?
God, that's a tough question in 2020 in the state we're in now. But I think Charlotte might be well placed here to talk more on this because she's brilliantly versed in live music. So yeah, Charlotte, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Just checking that as well.
Yeah.
We on? Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. There we go.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's good to follow accounts on Instagram like MusicBusiness Worldwide and Music Week as well, because they typically post about events that are coming up, networking events. Obviously, as Shrav pointed out, it's really difficult now. There really aren't that many events going on because we can't all physically be in the same room together. So I think for now it's just kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. Hopefully next year more events will open up and yeah, more networking events will come about. But there are definitely two Instagram accounts that I would follow just to keep an eye on for events that they're posting about because they're always super useful.
And how have you been finding keeping in touch with your connections during this period of time? Has it just been continuing to work, or have you been more maybe deliberate about keeping certain contacts?
You know what? Zoom's obviously the thing that everyone uses now, and it's all good. It's really helpful. I mean, I think we're probably communicating more than we ever were now. Not just about work, but also our own sanity and mental health. I think that's really, really important, and I think it's something that everyone feels like they need, that additional support and that because, you know, a lot of people are stuck at home on their own or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely changed. I think there's a lot more communication than ever before. I think it becomes a little bit draining sometimes because you feel like you're constantly on a Zoom call or a phone call with someone. So I think a lot of people are overcompensating, but it has to be about quality over quantity, you know, like that's essentially the most important thing.
Has that made A&Ring tracks, just like the one we've just heard, more focused or more difficult?
Nah, I think it's made it more difficult. I think it's harder to, like, that record in particular. If the nightclub scene was open now, like if there were raves and clubs going on, it would be blowing up. It's very dependent on the genre and what music you're making. You know, Eyelar, another one of our artists who performed earlier, her music is predominantly driven by streaming and social media, so she hasn't suffered as much. So I think it just depends on what kind of music you're doing.
And are you also finding this as a good opportunity for people to be more creative and more songwriting and more production to happen
1
because
million.
people have been locked down?
Yeah, 100%. I think this is like survival of the fittest now in terms of people that aren't creative, that don't make their own music, that aren't songwriters. Those guys are really struggling because they rely on other people. So as I mentioned before, DJs are in trouble because they can't do their live events. So the ones that can make streaming records are the ones that are essentially staying afloat at the moment from the music business. So yeah, creativity, real artists, it's a different time now. The manufactured pop game that, you know, Derek was talking about earlier with the early era of Crown and Sarah Stennett and everything else, it's gone. You can't do it anymore. People have to have real stories and real talent to break through now.
And obviously during COVID and the pandemic, we've also had Blackout Tuesday, and I'll say that more specifically.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of labels that have been called out, lots of conversations that have now started that maybe were bubbling in the background that have come to the surface about the way that black acts have been treated, and even sort of black female vocalists in particular who often didn't get credited. How do you see the sort of landscape shifting in that light? Is there more of a do you feel that there's even more of an opportunity now to not only have that discussion but make some changes?
Definitely time for change. Definitely a platform for everyone to speak out about their experiences and the challenges that they face. Very fortunate to be part of a group of brilliant people that are the Black Music Coalition, who have worked tirelessly to pull together a manifesto and an agenda to try and change things within the both corporate and the indie structure, and we're working hard to take on as much input and advice from everyone that is out there facing these challenges on a daily basis. But I think there's a massive opportunity for people to really thrive now and make sure that they are getting the opportunities that are equal to their counterparts. I think it's also put an additional focus on creating more excellence in what we do, because there is inevitably going to be a layer of, you know, knee-jerk reactions, or give this person a label, or hire this person because they're black. Like, that's going to happen, and it's fine because it's part of a transitional period. But the people that are being given those opportunities have to step up to the plate and deliver and excel, because what we don't want is a privileged culture that's built on being there just to tick a box. It should be about being excellent and being great at what you do. And I think that's something that we need to be conscious of and make sure we encourage and support all of the new people that are getting opportunities to be brilliant at what they do. And again, that comes from mentorship, support, training, opportunities. But yeah, the glass ceiling needs to go. You know, like Derek said earlier, we were brought up in an environment of being one of one in most of these companies. We've got our token black person. We'll ask them what they, you know, what they think of this particular genre of music, or working on a pop project, how do we make it appeal to the black audience? Oh, what do you think, Derek? Oh yeah, should we get what should we do? Should we braid her hair? Like that era's over, and we're now in a place where we've got our own ecosystem, there's a business model, there's lots of great things going on, but equally people need to excel and be brilliant at what they do. Like, that's super, super, super important.
I want to bring Mo in on that question as well, but also I want to ask Aaron first, how are you finding this change, or are you noticing it as a change, or is this now the environment that you're used to?
See, I'd say it's still a bit of both because, sorry, I myself, I can see and notice, especially when I hear all these stories which these guys have been telling me, which have happened over the years, it's not hard to see how it can happen or where it stems from, because obviously I was with Shrab for a bit when we was at a major label, so it's easy to notice how people of color, or just people of color with talent, can get overlooked or just used for what they're good at but never credited. So, but then after that, I'm now in a position where most people around me are cultured and nurtured to be nice and just not like a normal human. They're not swayed one way by someone's color or things like that. So I've seen how present it is, or how it can be there, and I've heard how strong it, like the racism can be, or just the sort of way people act to people of color. But at the same time, I don't experience it a lot myself because of the good position I'm in with Two-Tone and Shrav, so yeah.
And can I bring you in on that as well, Mo? Also, interesting that you come from a youth work background as well. I'm wondering how that, if at all, that colours the way that you see that issue. You need to take yourself off mute.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my background in youth work has, helped me, to kind of understand the young people that are coming into the games, into the music industry, the challenges that they've had growing up, family, poverty, education, and how that, can affect them day to day being an artist. Because when you've got artists from different backgrounds, they've got different needs. And, I wouldn't, obviously there's the race element to it, but, so what was the question? Because it was a bit low, I didn't catch the back end of the question. Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I was asking in light, if you can hear me, I was asking in light of, you can't hear me. You cannot hear me.
Might need to go quite into the mic.
Sure. Okay. Try that. Is that better? Can you hear me, Mo?
Got you now. I got you.
Ah, okay, cool. All right, I'll make sure I come really close for you. Yeah, the question was in regards to Blackout Tuesday and the way that things have, what's happened during lockdown. How are you seeing the industry change, and what have been parts that you've seen over the years that have needed to change and now getting addressed?
Well, I've not been working in music for as long as Derek or Sharav, so they probably can tell you some stories about some, specific things that have been going a bit longer. I feel like most of the things that needed looking at, that Blackout Tuesday is putting under the spotlight, are just the general things growing up black in Britain today. The microaggressions, assumptions, and stereotypes. I feel like those kind of things historically have kind of been brushed off as, chip on your shoulder, that kind of stuff. Especially being from Liverpool, we've always been, told we've got a chip on our shoulder for highlighting any things that have been ill done towards us. But I feel like this has kind of legitimised it and kind of galvanised and unionised everybody's voice and everyone's experiences. So I don't think it's making a massive change today, but as long as it's starting conversations, I think it's having a great effect.
In general, for you guys, what do you see the future now for the label? Now that you've made the transition, where do you see 2TE going? What's the next steps?
I mean, for me, it's about continuing to invest and continuing to grow. The next generation, Aaron, you know, I want more young people like him coming through. I think we've got between us a lot of experience, me, Derek and Mo and Charlotte, that we want to share with the next generation. So it's about, investing in young talent. And the business model now is pretty fluid. It's 360. It's across everything. We'd like to venture into other areas. Eventually, we've brought into a venue in Milton Keynes, which is our first live music venue. Obviously, the timing of it is not great right now. We're sitting on a bit of an empty space at the moment, but yeah, it's a 600 capacity venue. We're going to continue to invest into the areas that we're really passionate about. But I think in the current phase that we're in now, with where the world is right now, I'm just happy that we're still able to invest in new talent. And building a catalogue is probably the long-term goal. I think one of the challenges about doing JVs with majors is that they don't let you keep your catalogue, and that was one of the big catalysts about coming out of a major label, in that not only do we want to build catalogue, but we want our artists to as well. We want them to retain their catalogue and to be able to go away and be able to have tangible assets that they can sell after their music career is over. So, I think there's something that a lot of people would like to do, and the major record companies don't really encourage it. They don't want you to own your own repertoire. They want to own everything just because they've given you a check, even though you've created it. Yeah. So for me, that business model is one that I'm really working at changing. Empowering the team to be successful. I really want to see everyone fulfill their ambitions, and as long as that's happening, as a business, we'll be fine.
So tell me a little bit about your process of songwriting. I'm now going to go into, we've had a couple of questions that are around more of the specifics of how you approach your artists and encourage them and get them to develop within their art form. So tell us a little bit about how you do that.
I mean, look, every artist is different, and every creative is different. Derek and I work very closely on understanding the people that we work with. We recently signed a new songwriter through our JV with Stella called 89 Fly, who actually wrote that Wizkid and Her record that you heard. And he operates in an interesting space because he's originally a rapper and is working predominantly with artists that don't want to co-write.
Okay.
Most rappers will never want another writer in the room because we don't need someone else to write our bars, blah, all of that. Fine. He has a way about him and understands the culture of the music that he is involved in enough to know how to navigate himself through those rooms. So a lot of the conversations we have with our writers are how they exist in the rooms that they're in and play the role that they need to play. We have another writer called Alistair O'Donnell, who's a guitarist by talent, as it were, in terms of that's how he started, but incredible producer, incredible songwriter. He is very disarming to a lot of artists that he works with. They don't expect him to be a songwriter, so he goes in and lays down a little guitar loop, and they're like, oh, that's sick. And then he's like, oh, why don't we try this melody, or why don't we try writing about this today? And it's a very natural step into songwriting. There's other songwriters like Eyelar who, is very strong in the room. She'll go in and it'll be, I've got this concept, I want to write like this, is what I want to do. So they're all very different, and I'll let Derek take over here, but I think it's about understanding them, right? And drilling down.
100%. I think with every writer, there should be a level of them not having any ego and not making it about them, if that makes sense. Depending on, if you're writing a song to pitch, you've got to also be thinking about what's current, what sort of topics and talking points you can have and whatnot. But I don't think there's any sort of set way. Going back to the 89 Fly and AOD thing is, with those guys, they are very much, I always try to get feedback when I get sessions in. So if I got Too Faded in with 89 Fly and the artist, I'll ask Too Faded, how'd that session go? And ask them loads of questions. And what I found is the guys that are very disarming and not dominant in the room, the artists love the most. And 89 Fly is definitely one of those characters. He's not one of those guys that's going to be at the forefront trying to take over the room. And it's the same with AOD as well. They're very disarming and, just not so much in your face, I guess.
And some people like that energy, and then there's some people that really need a character in the room. Like we've got Distortion, who is a character. You know, he's sometimes bigger than the artist, which for some people is a problem. And then in other scenarios, they love it because he brings that energy and that hype and that feeling, the confidence, exactly. So you got to know your audience, basically. If you're working with an artist that is shy, retiring, like doesn't want to be, you know, overwhelmed in a situation, don't put in a big character. If you've got someone that needs the energy and needs the vibes, then put in a character. So it's like a chemistry set, man. Like you got to work it out as you're going along. And as Derek says, the right thing to do is have as much dialogue as you can with your songwriters and your creatives to understand what their needs are and how their experiences really are going.
Consistently get feedback. And one thing I would say as well is make sure you're getting feedback from, you know, the sessions, and there's no set rules. You could think something's not going to work, or it might work and it could go horribly wrong, or you could try and do something and it's just going to be sort of spur of the moment, last minute, and you get an absolute smash out of it. You know, sometimes we like to think that there's a science to it, sometimes there's not.
Eyelar wrote a song which, you know, was performed at the Grammys with Demi Lovato that was literally a jam at 2 a.m. after the session had finished. The session was done, nothing happened. Nothing was going off. Demi went home. She didn't even write the song. I'm not supposed to say that, but she didn't, right? And Eyelar was in a room with 2 other songwriters, and someone started playing the piano, and they wrote the song. And that ended up being the song. So you just don't know how the thing's going to come around, but you've got to be in it, and you've got to be in the mix.
So could you give us a bit of information about the splits in the music industry?
Oh, man. man. How long have we got?
Oh, mate. That one. Oh,
it's tough. I mean, look, there's no rules, and it's the same thing as... And it's one of the reasons I've got an issue with the way major labels do things when it comes to, you know, this is our percentage, we don't break it, because these are the rules. There aren't any rules. You make them up as you go along. Everyone does.
Yep.
There's a certain level of, like, conformity that a lot of people adhere to just because they feel like that's the way it's done. I'm in the middle of a massive battle right now with Ivan Novello's on our side, obviously not against Ivan Novello's, to get songwriters paid properly, because they depend completely on airplay to get paid. But producers, mix engineers, A&Rs, featured artists, they all get paid a royalty from a streaming percentage that songwriters don't. So there's a massive disparity in the way that songwriters get looked after. When it comes to splits, it's a nightmare, because you could have a situation where someone like Eyelar could write 90% of a song and she'll end up with 15% because an artist was in the room that decided that they said 2 words, but if we don't give them a percentage and the song's not coming out, or there was 3 people in the room that apparently contributed to a song that didn't do anything, is how long is a bit of string? And the only way that you can deal with it is through leverage, if your writer has power, or if you've got a team of people that are analysing the situation before you even get into that room and making it clear, this is how our writer works, we're expecting this much. But it's not an exact science, it's a mess.
One thing I would say is try and deal with it as quick as possible. As soon as the song's made, if you get it done then, usually the memory is quite fresh. Whereas if you leave it, we've had situations where we've left it a few months and then the songs come out and everyone starts talking about the publishing split. Then we get into the publishing conversation and then it's like that person didn't do anything, but they wouldn't remember that they didn't do anything. So, you know, trying to get things dealt with quickly, early as possible. We're trying to get a system in place where as soon as the song's done, we're trying to get the split sorted out.
It's difficult in some situations. Like, you can't go into a room and start talking about splits before you've written a record. But in the same breath, you come out of a room and you forget. People's memories change so quickly. Oh, yeah, but I did this.
I wrote the hook.
So, I mean, we had a meeting the other day with someone that will remain nameless that had a camera recording all of their sessions to pick up every single melody and contribution to a session, which I thought was interesting. I mean, in an ideal world, you would sign a split sheet at the end of a session. You would, between the 4 of you or the 3 of you, you'd say, this is what it is, it's fair, but it doesn't happen because people don't do that stuff, and it then causes a lot of problems.
Would you say that's because at the moment, it's still, things are being dealt with from the, like, mid to the bottom side of the game, rather than being at the top side of the game?
No, I think it's across the board. I think it's a problem throughout the whole songwriting business in that it's too grey. The whole thing's too grey. There's no, the way that producers have agreements with record labels or artists have songwriters don't have anything. Like you can turn up for a session and you're paying for your own travel, you're paying for your own food, you're walking out of that room, you're not even getting the song, and then the song comes out and you don't even know about it, and then they're telling you you've got 10%, and you're like, sorry, what? And there's fuck all you can do about it. Sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. There's literally nothing you can do about it. So it's not a problem for one particular section of the songwriting community. It's all the way through.
I think what usually happens is people only care about the splits when it matters, and that's usually when a song's about to come out. And I think that's probably the issue more than anything else, because what you'll find is, you know, if we put a session with distortion in with someone and a song doesn't come out, what might happen later on down the line is he might play that same beat that's not going to get used by that said artist. Another artist hears it, and then it becomes another conversation. So sometimes what you find is that people don't usually deal with the splits until it really matters. And some people have a rule of thumb of 50 cents to the guy that makes such a track, and then 50% split between the writers. In France, we've learned recently that the songwriter does 33%, the person that does the track gets 33%, and the person that does the actual melody gets 33%. So it's different sort of rules depending on who you're speaking to. But I think usually what Sharaf said earlier on is about leverage, and if you've got a bit of power and sway, you know, usually people will roll with it. And sometimes you just take a chance, say, you know what I mean?
One of the things that people forget as a songwriter is that you do have the power of not granting first mechanical license on a record. So when someone needs to get a video out, or when someone wants to do a sync or whatever, as a songwriter, you actually do have some power. But people just, you know, songwriters are, in many cases, struggling and desperate times, and every penny counts. So when someone says, you know what, we're going to give you 20%, or the song's not coming out, they say yes. And there's no union. Songwriters can't be part of a union because they are self-employed, and there's a lot of, you know, tax and political issues that can come from them being unionized. So it's a massive problem. It's a massive problem.
Yeah, I remember meeting Brian Michael Cox a few years ago, and he told me a couple stories about a couple writing stories. So, lesson for you guys: make sure you deal with your splits at the end of the night.
End of a session will be the best time to do it. Worst case scenario, at the very least, the next day while it's still fresh in people's minds.
Try and leave with the backing track as well, with the actual song.
And if you're a songwriter and you are finding it tough to get your songs, you need to remind your producers that you're working with that that's your lifeblood, because I think there's a lot of people that don't respect the songwriter in the way that they do. That's the biggest challenge.
Now, you guys are more than just a record label.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the different arms within 2TE.
Well, I think we were just touching on the songwriting and publishing side of things. So the record label now is a fully independent entity, you know, completely funded by ourselves as a company now, and our relationships with our distributors. So we have a distribution deal with a couple of really great distributors, and we've decided not to go completely exclusive on that side because we feel that every artist is different and not every distributor makes sense for every artist. So for us, that sort of fluid ability to be able to choose the right partners for each of our projects is really important. On the publishing side, we are now partnered with Stellar Songs, as Derek mentioned earlier. Stellar are an incredible independent publishing entity. So again, we're completely independent. They do have various relationships, one with Sony ATV and some others that allow us to pick our admin partner when we sign people on publishing. And then on the management side, it's mainly producers and writers that we look after, but then you know, in some scenarios like Eyelar, where we started off as management and now have evolved into a record label, we do both. So yeah, that's like the core disciplines of our business and how we work. Everything else kind of slots in around it, brand partnerships and live events and everything else, but those are the three key areas.
So I want to bring Charlotte back in. In regards to a record like the one we just heard was performed just performed before, What was your approach to getting that starting to play on the radio and starting to get that moving during what's been going on this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a challenging year because we haven't been able to delve in live and clubs haven't been open, so we can't get our music played there. So I think that there has definitely been more of a focus on getting it off at radio, and, you know, we've had some really great success with it at radio in terms of BBC Radio 1 Extra. But I think it's definitely, we've definitely had to kind of look outside the box with it and think of other opportunities. And for instance, with a single that we worked on with Eyelar at the beginning of lockdown, we did a competition where it would we made like a virtual single launch party. So like typically we would do like an in-person event with her and fans, but obviously within this time that wasn't possible. So we created a virtual single launch party with various fans via Zoom, and there was a competition in which they could enter in order to be able to attend the launch party. So I think it's just been about working outside of the box with things, and yeah, and creating other ideas that way.
Cool. Yes. Sorry. And I suppose the next steps now for what's the future hold in light of how things are going to progress. Now that we've now entered this blended stage, it would appear, where there are some types of performances happening, and there are some, whether they be streaming performances or whether they be even Twitch and various other platforms. How are you utilizing that?
I think it's actually going to quite quickly become quite oversaturated in terms of online performances. So it's going to force artists and labels and management to become as creative as possible with their live performances, especially if, you know, some of them are starting to be ticketed, paid for performances. It's forcing us to think, how can we make this performance that you're going to see online or stream through your TV, you know, worthwhile if you're going to pay for it. Nothing's going to beat actually seeing an artist live and having that artist in front of you. So yeah, I think it's just about really, like, in terms of a venue that you choose, maybe having other artists on board with you, so bringing people in for collaborations throughout the set, maybe having certain dancers or visuals throughout the set. Yeah, I think it's just about making it really special, because I think it's definitely going to get very oversaturated. And I think that, as you know, as soon as the pandemic hit in the UK in particular and everyone went into lockdown, I think there was this whole kind of flurry of people doing Instagram lives, and everyone kind of panicked and did an Instagram live. And we were just so oversaturated with that for like a good 2 months, weren't we? And, you know, maybe it's about kind of holding back on that and really getting your head together and thinking, what actually can I create that's really special, and create a one-off performance rather than giving it all away too quickly, you know, and giving it away for free. And yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We just had a question come in that asks around 360 deals, that they haven't always had the best reputation. How do you help an artist make the most of the various opportunities that are open to them?
I mean, look, the 360 business model is becoming more and more more and more popular, just because I think people want to protect their creative energy by working with one team. I don't ever put any of our artists in a situation, or any of the creators we work with in a situation where they feel like they have to be part of all three parts of our business. You know, there's some artists that, you know, A-Star's a great example, and Mo can jump in here, where he's very clued up on streaming income and what it takes to be an independent artist. And there have been several scenarios where I've said to Mo, does he need help with financials to shoot this video or whatever, and he would rather pay for it himself. So we've had the conversation about him coming under our label banner, and he would prefer to do it himself, and we keep that as management. So every artist and their sort of ideology about how they want to do things is different. And you know, Eyelar, another great example, someone that, as I say, we started off as management, is now part of the label setup, but she also understands that at some point, if there is a long-term partnership or decision to work with another party who want to invest and go make her bigger and bigger and bigger, that the pie might have to be split again. So I don't think that there is a solution for one artist. I think people that feel like they're signing into everything, they should be really sure that the people that they're signing in with are the right people for them, and they should understand the value that each side of the business will bring, because, you know, like ourselves, there are a number of other companies that are multidisciplined, Disturb in London, 2K, since 93, you know, Renown. There's some really great companies out there that work across all areas. How you choose to work with the company that you work with should really be based on what you want from that situation.
Do you think, well, let me ask this a different way. How do you help artists overcome the fear? Because I think there's been so much over the years that has been around, do you trust the label? Do you not trust the label? Do you give over management? If they're investing this money and they want it back, what's going to happen to me? How do you go about educating your artists, or do you?
No, complete transparency. That's the key. In the same way that we're expected to respect their art and their creative process, they should respect the financial investment and the investment of time that we put in. And the more you can be transparent about that in the early stages of your relationship, the better your relationship's going to be. I think there's a lot of people in major companies that are desperate to do deals to keep their jobs that skip over all of that because they want to get the deal done and prove that they are good at what they do. I think people that have concerns about entering into deals with people should have a good lawyer on board that explains everything in detail in terms of how that relationship will work. Some are going to go left. It's like, it's inevitable, isn't it, D, in terms of like, not every deal is going to work out, but being stuck in a deal for a long period of time is usually most artists' big gripe. And I think that's the same as the major label perpetuity or lifetime of copyright conversation, where they own your masters forever. That's over. You know, deals that are like 4 or 5 album long, most people don't sign them anymore. So do a trial period. You know, we do that with a lot of our artists. A-Star, Mo will tell you, started off on a trial management period where we built a relationship with him over a period of time, and we wanted to formalize it, but not until he was comfortable in our capacity and what we can do. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Derek, do you want to come in on that?
It's covered everything. Everything's covered.
Well, we're winding down now, so what I want to do is kind of get final thoughts from you. You want to go?
Before we get to that part, it's more of a personal question. The name, Two-Tone Entertainment.
Yeah.
Why Two-Tone Entertainment, and what names did you have before you actually defined that name, Two-Tone?
Do you know what? It's one that not that many people ask. It started off from DJ career. So as a kid, that was my DJ name, and I just carried it through. It never went away. It wasn't that thought out. I mean, obviously, I was aware that Two-Tone, the music genre, like, you know, there was a Two-Tone Records, was a ska and reggae label, and there were a few issues with that. Even when I did the deal with Warner, we couldn't call it Two-Tone. We had to call it 2TE because there's some sort of slight legal leans on it. But yeah, it just started from that. I used to DJ under that name, and that was the reason. So
why was that your name then? Why Two-Tone?
You're taking it deep now. There's reasons. There's multiple reasons. I guess, I don't know. Different things, you know. I used to dye my hair. There were different things. It's fine. But yeah, that was the name that I had from a kid, and it stuck with me, and just I've carried it through. So.
Cool. So let's just have some final words. I'm going to start with Aaron, then we go to Mo, then we go to Charlotte, and we go Derek, and then we'll go Shaz. So just one thing that you wish you knew that's now become important.
That COVID was coming.
Yep, that's a good one.
You get a pay rise.
Let's go to Mo on that one.
One thing I wish I knew, every deal is negotiable. I think that goes back to what we were talking about with royalties. I'm sure I was speaking about ages ago. The kind of things of people tend to use the status quo. That's just how things are. But let's not confuse the music business for something other than it actually is, a business. And in business, everything's negotiable. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
I would say don't be afraid to speak up. I think I definitely look back on certain situations when I first started out in music and certain meetings where I wish I'd said something in a situation that maybe didn't feel right or I didn't really agree with, or maybe I felt like I wasn't spoken to correctly or somebody else wasn't spoken to correctly. And yeah, I definitely look back and think I should have spoken up then. And yeah, like, don't be afraid to stand up and speak up, for sure. Yeah.
I think my one would be touching upon what Charlotte said, but probably a bit different, is maybe being a bit more fearless, definitely enjoying it more as well. And, but being fearless and not being afraid to ask questions and whatnot if something doesn't feel right. But definitely, I would say enjoying it more, which I'm definitely doing now, is I'm working with one of my best mates, as well as a great team as well. You know, we have a laugh and everything else, but I really, really enjoy what I do. It's actually a blessing to do this rather than, a traditional sort of 9 to 5. Which
Give us
I've
a bit more insight when you say fearless. You mean like a Suge Knight type of
well,
fearless?
you can
Dave Dash?
You can go Suge Knight level, but it doesn't have to be as, that extreme. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, just what I've realised is, and I don't want to say this to discredit a lot of people, is not everyone has the answer, if that makes sense. I've had conversations where I've heard people, managers getting written off, or artists being written off, and I'm sort of sitting in the background listening, taking it all in, and then you realise then you see the artist go and absolutely blow up, and then you're like, oh my gosh, so it just goes to show that no one really knows. You know what I mean? You just got to believe in something, and hopefully it does well, but there's no real, to a certain extent, I think a lot of people are winging it, and winging it well, and I'm actually comfortable in the fact that I don't know everything. If something comes in and it's a drill record, it's like, Aaron, what's this saying? This is good, yeah? Do you know what I mean? I like it, but Aaron, what are you saying? Do you know what I mean? What are the kids saying? And being comfortable in that, that's my thing.
Yeah. And to further that point even more, a good friend of ours, we had a call recently with a good friend of ours, and he said something that really stuck with me, which is, they're not better than you. The people that you believe are better than you are not better than you. They just have their own perspective, and they're sort of making the most of the talents that they have. Figure out what you're great at and focus on that, because nobody can have the same journey as you. No one has the same, DNA as you do, that you've been through whatever process you've been through in your life, whatever experiences, where your family's from, what you've been through. It makes you who you are. You have a lens that no one else has, and respect the fact that your lens is powerful. And don't be afraid, as Derek says, to speak up or, have a different opinion about what other people might think is. No one's right, nothing's good and nothing's bad. It's all objective. This whole business is objective. Success for the major labels is chart positions and millions of streams. Success for an up-and-coming artist is getting airplay on their record, or, Eyelar writing a song about her dad passing away and it doing 1 million streams. Record labels wouldn't give a shit about that. She cares, I care. So don't run your own race and believe in yourself.
And that's a great way to end. Thank you so much. Can we have a virtual round of applause and a round of applause in the room for 2TE? So thank you everyone for being with us. We have been Access All Areas here at Tileyard. And I'm going to hand over to DJLongers, who is going to play us out. Thank you so much. Peace, and we'll see you at the beginning of next month.
Just quickly have to say apologies for all the technicals we had earlier, but I'm glad you guys stayed tuned to actually stay with us for a magnificent show today. So let's go through quickly some of the tunes that we've been through earlier on that 2TE have been a part of.
Are you man? Are they wrong from fair? Touch my watch, why you want it? Yo, not your market. Yo, turn up the right and left, I don't know. Interview me, I don't know. How many gal in the room, I don't know. Is that your gal in my coop, I don't know.
Don't got no safety. Lauren, Stacy, Mad Mix, Crazy, Pop, cause daily. Should I cuff Miss Banks? Give her babies. Maybe. 9 boys, crazy. Buy big up, that's me in Emerton. But I heard they got police intelligence. Told they don't, cause he's irrelevant. 3-4, that's me in Element. My young boys who free, no evidence. But if on me, if he needs anything, love beef adrenaline, in the shoulders.
Will this rose go down, so I smell like roses. Living on them boys, down middle round fences. In front of back, shorty begging me to her. I might buy her a rose gold choker. She said she wanna spend some time. I might buy her a rose gold.
Once again, remember this has been AAA Access All Areas. We are back the first Saturday of every month. That's the first Saturday of every month. So the first Saturday of November, I even forget we're in October. The first Saturday in November, we'll be back for our big show. Thank you. See you next month.